This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Howdy ho there, what's up guys, Sam here, welcome back to another video. Got sort of a grab bag of news for you today with topics ranging from the incredibly exciting iPhone 12 all the way to the elusive iOS 14 update. The iOS 14 leak this time around much bigger. We actually supposedly have a hands-on video of the new multitasking view and custom Apple CPUs made just for the Mac. They're on the horizon and we have an updated timeline for that. So if you're excited for this news, and honestly I couldn't think of a person who wouldn't be excited, drop a like down below, it does seriously help me out, and hit subscribe so you stay up to date on all the latest Apple news. Got some good stuff this time around, so let's go ahead and get started. Per usual, I want to lead off with the iPhone 12 just because this is a product that I think a lot of us are waiting on, or especially a lot of people that didn't upgrade to the iPhone 11 series last year. We got a ton of info at first, things have slowed down a bit, but a couple of updates today. First off, on production, I know this is sort of an ongoing conversation just because the coronavirus is still a huge deal. So Reuters is out with a new report today on where things are going for Apple, and they talk about how on-the-ground collaboration is super important, especially because this is actually the period of time, this is sort of a fun fact that I didn't know, that Apple is essentially finalizing the prototypes for the iPhone. The crux of this article is that Apple has not really been able to work on the ground like they have been able to in previous years. So, you know, whenever you're talking to somebody, things are just so much more effective when it's face-to-face. I feel like I experience this every day, like you send a text and then someone's like, what did you mean by that? And it's like, well, dude, like, there's context missing here because we're not looking each other in the eye, we don't hear our tone of voice, can't see our facial expressions. The article actually talks about that in regards to iPhone design and how that can be a really big issue when you're designing a product that millions of people are going to be buying, because you need to be able to work in person to figure out the kinks rather than talking on the phone or conferencing in. It's just not the same, and that's something that Apple's been having a hard time with since they haven't been flying to China as regularly as they usually do. Now, Reuters isn't saying that this will have a profound impact on the iPhone design and release cycle this year, as actual production doesn't begin until very late May, middle June, and July of every year, but where there probably have been delays is with finalizing the iPhone design, because Apple obviously works with a number of prototypes. Like last year, these are the two prototypes that leaked. Now, this one was the winner, obviously with the square camera bump, but we also saw this design, which I don't think Apple's going back to this year, but interesting that this was something Apple was toying around with. And honestly, this lines up with the fact that we haven't seen the iPhone 12 design confirmed yet. Like on leaks last year, he shared an image of the square camera bump iPhone months before we had any other info on the product. That's because Apple was finalizing that prototype in early January. So far, we have not seen anything visual for the iPhone 12, probably because there has been less in-person collaboration, and Apple themselves may have not even finalized a prototype just yet. All of these concerns, though, they're short-term. I really don't think we're going to be seeing any long-term implications, and as of right now, I would still say I don't think the iPhone 12 is going to be delayed, but it could be, so I wanted to share this update. That was the first side of the coin. Now, if we flip that around, look at the other side, we've got some more exciting news for the iPhone 12. The first, we're hearing of a brand new technology. So just as we have near-field communication for things like Apple Pay, there's actually a Wi-Fi standard called 802.11ay. Now, this sounds quite extensive or, kind of high-tech, but it's sort of just the extension of the Wi-Fi lineup. So the way Wi-Fi tech is differentiated is with the letter at the end. So you're probably familiar with like 802.11abgn, and then the newer technology that's sort of the standard right now, 802.11ac. 802.11ax is in the process of becoming mainstream, and then I guess further down the road, an extension of everything else is 802.11ay, which is extremely short-range Wi-Fi that's going to come in handy in just a few situations. The primary thing it would do for the iPhone 12 is allow you to transfer data from iPhone to other devices really quickly, or especially with AirDrop, iPhone to iPhone. It's a very short range but extremely fast Wi-Fi signal that allows you, in short range, to share things really quickly. None of this is confirmed to be happening on the iPhone 12, but that is certainly what Apple would be using the technology for, because AirDrop is great, but it's a little bit slow because it relies on normal Wi-Fi and Bluetooth transfer. With this, transfer taking a couple minutes could likely happen in a couple of seconds due to the higher bandwidth allowed here. So nothing major in the grand scheme of things. I don't think this is going to affect your life on a day-to-day basis, like, the new blue colorway we're hearing. That's going to be so much more impactful. No, but seriously, this is not the 120 hertz display. This is not the upgraded laser 3D camera setup on the back, but I think this will be a nice enhancement, and as somebody who is constantly airdropping things from my Mac to my MacBook to my iPhone, I'm really looking forward to this upgrade. Now, for this next part of the video, I wasn't planning to wear my jacket, but this deal is ice cold. NordVPN has been on my channel for a very long time, and the reason I keep having them back is because I use the service and it is the fastest, it is the best, and it is my favorite way to stay safe and protected online. So I actually just learned this. You know how you go to buy tickets for like planes or trains or even automobiles? So without a VPN, every time you're looking for airline tickets, for example, they keep track of who you are and they can change the pricing on you because they've got all your data unlocked. But with NordVPN, you have a different IP address, so it's incredibly hard for them to track who you are or what you're doing because they think it's somebody else entirely, leading you to get the best deal you possibly can. And that's just one benefit of so many whenever you're using a VPN. The 3 years plan right now is 70% off, only $3.49 a month when you use the link down below or code iupdate. More anonymity, more privacy, potentially saving money. At the end of the day, is there anything else that we really want? Well, probably the iPhone 12, but NordVPN, check them out down below. That information came courtesy of Takara, who does have a mixed track record, but they also bring us some additional information that I think could give us some strong hints about the Apple AirTag design. This is going to be a brand new product from Apple, obviously their first take at a tile-like Bluetooth tracking accessory, but of course it's going to have some special Apple features like little red balloons that pop up. When you move your camera around the room, you'll be able to find things easier, and of course, probably an Apple-like design. And in this new report from Takara, they talk about something that I think is cool, but also maybe not if you don't have Apple Watch. The Apple Watch has this proprietary magnetic charging system, and it's not standard wireless charging, so every time I travel, I have to take this special cable with me. Well, for Apple AirTags, they're said to feature a very similar charging setup based on magnetic charging rather than traditional Qi charging. But then you realize how many times you forget the million chargers required to use an Apple product now, because you got Lightning for your iPhone, USB-C for your iPad and your Mac, and then the special magnetic charger for your Apple Watch. Now you're gonna have to bring all three no matter what, even if you don't have an Apple Watch, just to charge your AirTags. That being said, if it is the same Apple Watch charger, it pretty much confirms this circular design. And this is an icon that Apple themselves has leaked, obviously not giving us any 3D detail to what the device is gonna look like, but I could see this Mac Rumors mock-up being a reality quite soon. Just put this on the Apple Watch charger, charges within probably 20 or 30 minutes because the battery inside of here has to be so small. But just like the iPhone 12, there's some really good news to go along with this. I've had questions about the durability of AirTags. Where can you use them? Where can you not? The same report from Takara says they will be completely waterproof, which is actually going to be really cool because that means if you potentially drop something in water, the device might short circuit, but at least you can find where it fell in with the AirTag. For real though, this will not restrict you pretty much at all because I'm sure it will be dust resistant as well to where you put these little tags. So you'll be able to find your stuff when it's lost pretty much anywhere. And then you can sling it wherever you want. You can put it on your skateboard. You can put it on your, no, you wouldn't want to put it on your iPhone. You can put it on your backpack. You can put it anywhere and the device will be able to be located because it's going to use the whole Apple network likely to locate your lost stuff. And waterproofing, it's going to be cool. And I think the circular design, I think it's going to suit Apple quite well. Now moving on to iOS 14, this has been a really hot topic recently. We got that exciting report from Bloomberg saying that for the first time ever, Apple may allow us to set a different third-party mail app as default or potentially use Google Chrome instead of Safari without having to use Safari at all. Stability also said to be a big focus here as iOS 13 was really buggy and there were creatures and, things running around all the time. They don't want those creepy crawlers creeping around anymore. They're going to be squashed and it's going to be more reliable. Today, we've got a weird one today. I got to really lean back for this one, guys, because I'm not sure if this is actually going to be real. I think it could be, and I'm yelling quite loud because I feel like I'm sitting really far away from my mic. But this comes courtesy of Ben Geskin and 91 Mobiles. Let me just show it to you in action because this is apparently our very first ever leaked iOS 13 video. That's right, no screenshot. This is said to be a video of the new app switcher in action. Instead of showing you one preview at a time, you can see about 4 on the screen and then swipe left and right to go in between apps. And you can see it works really well. Now, I want to give you some context here before we all lose our minds and say that this is going to be the worst or best iOS release ever. According to G Rambo, who's leaked a ton of iOS stuff in the past, knows Apple stuff forward and backward, he says that this has been in the software in the hidden developer settings, where you can only get access to this, I believe, if you're an Apple employee or developing for iOS. Rambo says that this has existed since iOS 11, so it's been on here for a minute. This is nothing new. However, Ben Geskin, who shared this information along with 91 Mobiles, Geskin says the same source behind this iOS 14 multitasking leak is the same person who showed us the iOS 13 volume design days before iOS 13 was even announced. So the source could be right, and Apple could actually be using this for the iOS 14 default app switcher, or this could simply have just been enabled because the developer working on iOS at Apple may have liked the setting that's always been there and just turned it on because it was fun, and there's some miscommunication here. I do think this, whether it's gonna happen or not, this iOS 14 leak would be better than what we have now. So to be clear, this is absolutely real. This exists in a build of iOS somewhere. It's not fake, but is it turned on as a preference, or is this actually the design Apple's going with? We don't know. Moving on to the next topic, the Mac. Now, everybody loves Macs. You know, I've got one right here. I can change my brightness. Ooh, look at that. It's pretty fancy. Bet you didn't know I could change the brightness. Bet you thought this was a picture. Apple's been using Intel chips on the Mac since I've probably been alive, which has been a couple of years now, 3 or 4. So for the first time ever, Apple's not gonna rely on Intel or AMD or Nvidia or anybody else that makes chips in the game. They're gonna have their own custom Apple designed CPU. And obviously the speculation here could get a little wild. And obviously we can only speculate at this point about what that would mean, but just as the iPhone is sort of this all-in-one Apple designed package, the Mac is going to get one step closer because Apple's been using A-series chips in the iPhone for pretty much ever, and we've seen the insane amount of performance gains year after year and the optimization between hardware and software. I can only guess that we're going to see similar upgrades with the Mac, and I think they're going to be pretty sweet. I don't want to say much more about it now because it's a little bit away, but I think this is going to be a good revival for the Mac. According to Apple prodigy Min-Chi Kuo, he says it's going to be happening within the next 18 months, which means that by about June of 2021, which is going to be WWDC then, when Apple announces new software, that's like the latest as this transition is going to happen. Now, obviously things are always in flux. This information could change, but Kuo has an insanely good track record, so I'm going to take his word here. So let me hear your thoughts about all this down below. Did you enjoy the video? Did you learn something new? If you did, drop a like down below to seriously help me out, and hit subscribe so you stay up to date on the latest Apple news. See you later, have a good one, and I'll catch all of you in my next video.